What if hunger wasn't just a feeling, but a curse that never stopped? What if no matter how much you ate, your body screamed for more? In 18th century France, there lived a man whose appetite terrified doctors, disgusted soldiers, and confused science itself. A man who could eat an entire meal meant for 15 people and still beg for scraps. His name was Tarrare, and his hunger would make him a legend. Tarrare was born in 1772 in rural France, long before modern medicine could explain disorders of metabolism or neurological damage. From early childhood, something was terribly wrong. By adolescence, he was devouring food at a rate that defied reason. At just 13 years old, he reportedly consumed a quarter of a cow in a single day. Not gradually, not shared, alone. His parents tried to feed him, but imagine a family already struggling to survive, now burdened with a child whose appetite could drain their entire food supply in hours. Eventually, they made an impossible decision. They forced him out. He was cast into the world, not because he was violent, not because he was cruel, but because he was hungry. Endlessly. Alone and desperate, Tarrare found a strange opportunity. If the world saw him as unnatural, he would become a spectacle. He joined traveling performers and used his appetite as entertainment. Crowds gathered in both horror and fascination as he swallowed things that no human should ever consume. Stones, corks, baskets of apples, live birds. Witnesses claimed he could swallow an eel whole, that he would bite the head off a snake and consume the rest with disturbing ease, that he tore animals apart with his bare hands, drinking their blood as the crowd watched in stunned silence. But after every performance, he was still starving. Physically, Tarrare did not look monstrous. He was thin, almost skeletal. His skin hung loosely from his body. His mouth was unusually wide, capable of stretching in unnatural ways. When hungry, which was most of the time, his stomach appeared sunken and wrinkled. But after a large meal, it would balloon outward dramatically, distending beyond normal proportions. Doctors would later describe his body as elastic, almost unnatural in how it expanded. And then there was the smell. A foul, rotting stench clung to him constantly. Witnesses described it as unbearable. When he was hungry, the odor intensified. His body would heat up. Steam was reportedly visible from his skin on cold days. His breath was so foul that people avoided standing near him. It was as if something inside him was decaying, constantly. When the French Revolution began, Tarrare joined the army. But war does not accommodate endless appetite. Military rations were meager, barely enough for a normal soldier. Within days, Tarrare was scavenging through garbage piles. He ate discarded scraps, spoiled meat, waste. Other soldiers avoided him. He grew desperate. Eventually, his condition caught the attention of military doctors. They did not see a soldier. They saw an experiment. In controlled tests, they offered him enormous quantities of food. A meal prepared for 15 laborers. He consumed all of it. They placed before him a live cat. Without hesitation, Tarrare ripped it apart and consumed nearly every part. Bones, organs, blood. The room fell silent. Hardened surgeons, men accustomed to battlefield amputations and death, were shaken. And yet, after finishing, he asked for more. The doctors became fascinated. What was happening inside him? Was it his stomach, his brain, his metabolism, or something else entirely? Recognizing a strange opportunity, military officials devised a bizarre plan. Tarrare would become a courier. A small wooden box containing secret documents would be sealed and swallowed by him. He would cross enemy lines disguised as a peasant. Once he returned, the box would pass naturally through his system and be retrieved. A human message capsule, grotesque but potentially effective. Tarrare agreed, perhaps hoping to prove his worth, perhaps simply because they fed him. The mission failed. Captured by enemy forces, Tarrare was beaten and interrogated. Terrified of execution, he confessed the plan. He was released, humiliated and broken. But something had shifted inside him. His hunger grew worse, more aggressive, more desperate, more uncontrollable. He was admitted to a hospital in hopes of a cure. Doctors tried everything: vinegar to suppress appetite, opium to dull sensation, tobacco pills, special diets, massive meals. Nothing worked. He began sneaking out at night. He was caught scavenging through hospital refuse. He was seen drinking blood during medical procedures. He consumed scraps meant for cleaning wounds. And then, something happened that changed everything. A 14-month-old child disappeared from the hospital. There was no proof, no witness. But suspicion fell immediate. And now, the legend of Tarrare grows darker. By the time the French military began experimenting on him, Europe was burning in the chaos of the Revolutionary Wars. France was desperate. Messages were intercepted. Couriers were searched. Information meant victory or annihilation. And someone had a horrifying idea. What if a man could swallow a document, walk through enemy lines, and retrieve it later? Tarrare volunteered. They placed a wooden box containing a note inside his mouth. He swallowed it whole. Days later, after it passed through his body, the box was recovered, intact. It worked, and so the military turned him into something unthinkable, a living courier. They sent him across enemy lines carrying a hidden message inside his stomach. But Tarrare was no spy. He barely understood the mission. He spoke no German. His behavior was erratic, wild, unsettling. He was captured almost immediately by Prussian forces. When the enemy soldiers searched him, they found nothing. But Tarrare began to panic. Days passed. Finally, the message was recovered, and it turned out to be a simple test, a decoy. The Prussian general was furious. Tarrare was beaten. Some accounts say he was nearly executed. Ultimately, he was released, humiliated, traumatized, terrified. He crawled back to France. But something had changed. His hunger was worsening. Doctors tried everything. They fed him enormous quantities of food. He ate meals meant for 15 people and still begged for more. They gave him live animals, cats, dogs, snakes. Witnesses claimed he swallowed them whole. Bones, fur, flesh, everything. His body was a furnace that never cooled. But then, the hospital staff began noticing something even darker. Food was disappearing. Patients accused him of stealing from their trays. That wasn't surprising. But then, a toddler vanished. The hospital erupted into panic. There was no proof, no body, no confession. But suspicion fell on Tarrare, and whether he was guilty or not, he was expelled immediately. Imagine that moment. A man cursed with insatiable hunger, rejected by society, whispered about as a monster, forced back into the streets. Years passed. His body began to fail. The endless consumption was taking its toll. His health deteriorated rapidly. Ulcers, chronic diarrhea, severe weakness. Eventually, in 1798, Tarrare returned to the hospital, not as a spectacle, not as a curiosity, but as a dying man. He begged for help. He told doctors he believed a golden fork he had swallowed years earlier was still inside him, causing the pain. Whether this was delusion or truth, no one knows. What they did know was this: he was wasting away. Despite consuming unimaginable amounts of food throughout his life, he died emaciated. After his death, doctors performed an autopsy. What they discovered was as disturbing as the man himself. His esophagus was abnormally wide, so stretched that doctors described it as a vast canal. His stomach was enormous, filling much of his abdominal cavity. When opened, it emitted a putrid stench so powerful that some physicians reportedly refused to continue the examination. His liver and gallbladder were unusually large. His entire digestive system seemed warped, distorted by years of impossible hunger. But even then, they could not explain it. No clear disease, no simple diagnosis. Even today, historians and medical experts debate what afflicted Tarrare. Hyperthyroidism, a damaged amygdala, a rare metabolic disorder, severe psychological trauma, or something we still don't understand. Because here's the most haunting part. Hunger is supposed to stop. The human body has limits, but Tarrare's hunger did not. It consumed animals, objects, possibly even something far worse, and in the end, it consumed him. Think about that. A man born into poverty, turned into a traveling spectacle, used by the military as a tool, feared as a monster, studied like a specimen, and remembered as a curiosity. But beneath the legend, beneath the grotesque details, there was a human being, a young man who once begged doctors to cure him, who cried when he could not stop eating, who asked for help as his body destroyed itself. Was he a monster, or was he a victim of something medicine simply could not name in the 18th century? That is why Tarrare's story refuses to die, because it forces us to confront something deeply uncomfortable, the line between illness and monstrosity, between curiosity and cruelty, between hunger and horror. And somewhere in the shadows of history, the image remains, a gaunt young man with hollow eyes, a stomach that could never be filled, and a world that never truly understood him.